This meeting is being recorded.
Hello there, I'm Dr. Nicholas Campion. I am Director of the Harmony Institute at the University of Wales, Trinity, St. David, and I'm here with a short introduction to the ancient philosophical concept of harmony and its modern applications. So, harmony, a short introduction. Well, we are developing this work through the University of Wales, Trinity, St. David, founded in 1822, and we are putting environmental concerns and sustainability at the heart of our work in the university. We are engaged with this particularly at the moment because we are launching a new and innovatory master's program on harmony and sustainability to explore these issues. So, what got us thinking was the United Nations statement on harmony with nature. So in 2009, the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 22nd of April as International Mother Earth Day. And what they acknowledged was that we all live on one single planet. We have a common home. And therefore, it's necessary to promote harmony with nature in order to achieve economic and social justice and to protect the environmental needs of present and future generations. So what is harmony? Well, harmonia was central to classical Greek thought. We have the concept of the harmony of the spheres, in which music was seen as an expression of cosmic harmonies. But at the heart of this notion is the idea that the universe operates according to principles of balance. The cosmos is a single living whole in which all things are interconnected, interdependent. And the idea is that society and politics should reflect this harmony. So our purpose is to maintain balance and harmony and minimize imbalance and disharmony. It's an idea which was very familiar in medieval and Renaissance Europe and has come through in some traditions to the modern day. In China, harmony is central to key philosophical traditions. In Daoism, the flow of time and space between the poles of yin and yang represents a constant flow between harmony, disharmony, and back again. And we have the harmonic flow of qi, the energy which runs throughout the universe, and the Tao as the principle of natural harmony. Confucianism set out to achieve order and balance in society on the basis that all things exist in relation to all other things. So nothing, nobody can be healthy unless all other things, all other people are healthy. And in different traditions, in Christianity, we have the idea of divine love. If one truly loves, there is no conflict. In Buddhism, compassion for all living things. In indigenous worldviews, the concept of interconnectedness, people, plants, animals, the earth, the air, the water, all interconnected and part of a single system. And what this leads us towards, this idea of total integration between human society and the natural world, is, in modern terms, deep ecology. So Arne Naess, who really did more than anybody to develop this concept, talks about deep ecology as a rejection of the man in environment image or person in environment image in favor of the relational total field image. Organisms as knots in the biospherical nest or field of intrinsic relations. So in deep ecology, as in the ancient concept of harmony, people exist in a total relationship with the total environment, as do all things in our world. And therefore, if we look at policy choices and make practical decisions, they have to reflect as far as possible this total perspective. So if we look then at sustainability, the United Nations has produced its 2030 agenda, its sustainable development goals. And what the United Nations said here, again, looking at harmony with nature, was we are determined to ensure that all human beings can enjoy prosperous and fulfilling lives and that economic, social and technological progress occurs in harmony with nature. And the UN highlighted the interests of the poor and the vulnerable. And emphasized the interests of future generations. The choices we make now must take into account the interests of our children and grandchildren and their children. And so whatever actions we take must have regard to the sustainability of nature on our planet. So these are the total 17 sustainable development goals, running from goal number 1, no poverty, down to goal 17, building partnerships to achieve the goal. And of these, we particularly cover this selection in the University of Wales, Trinity, St David. We can address them all, but these are ones in which our current work focuses. So health and well-being, education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, infrastructure, reduced inequality, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption, production, and peace and justice, and strong institutions to support peace and justice. In addition to these goals, because we have a very strong background in the humanities, as well as in theology and religious education and philosophy, we add to these the importance of recognizing spirituality, religion, and new and traditional philosophies, and the personal engagement with space, place, and nature, the search for personal meaning. So what is harmony? How do we address this? This is David Cadman, who is one of our harmony professors of practice. He said in 2017, harmony is an expression of wholeness, a way of looking at ourselves and the world of which we are part. It's about connections and relationships. The emotional, intellectual, and physical are all connected. So what he's saying here is that not only are we all connected, but we need to be able to look at ourselves. This is not just about external action. It is indeed about acting in the world, but it's also about understanding ourselves and where we are coming from. And then he goes on, harmony asks questions, a crucial point, because there are no dogmatic statements here. There's no right and wrong. There's just a constant inquiry as to how we can behave better in relation to the world, and how in any individual circumstance, which might not have happened before, we can do our best for nature, for our communities, to promote justice and so on. So he says, harmony asks questions about relationship, justice, fairness, and respect in economic, social, and political relationships. And it's an integrative discipline. And so he goes on and he identified 7 principles of harmony. We don't talk about the principles because there may be more and there may be less. This is a way of identifying how we can think about issues. So wholeness, connection, interdependence, diversity, cycles of time and season, respecting the rhythms of nature, reciprocity, recognizing we all exist in relation to each other, and justice and lawfulness. So what we are looking at in our teaching in the university is how in everyday life we look at individual situations and decide what might be better and what might be not so good. So if we look, for example, at the sort of policy issues that we've been engaged in the last 20 or 30 years, in transport, there was a big move in the 1990s to replace petrol with diesel cars. Now, it's recognized that diesel is intensely polluting. So we might have cut down on CO2 emissions, but now we have to replace diesel cars with electric cars. But electric cars come with their own problems. The rare earths we need to make the batteries. And then we attempt to replace fossil fuels with biofuels. So a more harmonious, and I say a more harmonious approach because there is no absolute approach, is to develop public transport, renewable sources of energy, and of course, don't burn food, eat it. So in everyday life as well, we have practical examples. The circular economy is one which minimizes waste. The circular economy tries to make sure that its products can be repaired, do not have inbuilt obsolescence, packaging can be recycled, the workforce is paid and treated fairly, and its activities benefit the community. Again, there may be no absolute position because no material can be recycled forever, but it's a principle we can follow to minimize waste and abandon the principle of obsolescence. Another model from economics is donut economics, in which we imagine the economy as circular, with people, particularly disadvantaged people, being at the middle, and then around the edge, an ecological ceiling, where we reach the boundary of what we can safely do and how we can safely act to preserve nature, support justice, equality, and fairness. Then there's the well-being economy. A well-being economy, Anna Chrysopoulou wrote, it recognizes that people need to restore a harmonious relationship between society and nature, enjoy a fair distribution of resources, and live in healthy and resilient communities. So across the board, then, we have not just business and economics, but social justice, inclusion, community, equal rights for all, fair access to resources, a right to decent and secure housing, education, engaging children with nature through forest schools, growing their own food, recognizing children's individual needs, in health, well-being, social prescribing, which locates people in their communities, holistic solutions, looking at the whole person as widely as possible, recognizing individual needs. In farming, an emphasis on organic farming, permaculture, animal welfare, and a rejection of the excesses of industrial agriculture. And again, as well, recognizing the importance of spiritual practices, recognizing the spiritual quest, personal awareness, interfaith understanding, love, compassion, the interconnection of all things. We cannot deny that we as individuals have spiritual aspirations. So the Harmony Institute we created in the university to galvanize this work across a wide spectrum of activities with an emphasis on critical study. We can never accept any solution on the basis of faith. We have to inquire and constantly think what is best. As David Cadman said, harmony asks questions. So in the university, then our cue has been taken from certain people who've been appointed Harmony Institute professors of practice. Tony Juniper, who's chair of Natural England and former director of Friends of the Earth UK. John Sovan, former director of Greenpeace UK. And I think with both of these, we see the importance of environmental activism to challenge complacencies in terms of the way in which we treat the planet. And David Cadman, who I've mentioned already, who's the author of books including Love and the Divine Feminine, editor of works including Peacefulness, Bringing Peace and Making Peace. Juliet Davenport, founder and former chief executive of Good Energy, an energy company dedicated to producing energy from sustainable resources. Peter Davis, Commissioner for Sustainable Futures Wales, who has driven forward this agenda in which we need to recognise the welfare of future generations. And Richard Dunn, an educational specialist who's director of the Harmony Project. And on a wider level, Alan Herrera, another one of our honorary professors, a filmmaker famous for his work with the Kogi people of Colombia and their struggle to recognize the importance of sustaining the natural environment. And Sherto Gill, director of the Global Humanity for Peace Institute, recognizing that we cannot have a sustainable world if we do not resolve conflict. So we aim to, in summary, explore ancient, classical, and indigenous ideas of harmony, take forward the United Nations Statement on Sustainability and Harmony, and assist with the work of resolving the difficulties facing our planet that's being undertaken by so many people. And we explore in theory and practice the relationship between harmony as a principle of balance in the universe and in nature, harmony as peaceful and just relations, and harmony as a foundation for sustainability. So key texts: There's a book that also got us going on our quest in the university by our patron, the Prince of Wales, together with Tony Juniper, who I've mentioned, and Ian Skelly, the thinker and philosopher, Harmony, A New Way of Looking at Our World, and the Harmony Debates, Exploring a Practical Philosophy for a Sustainable Future, in which we brought together about more than 40 individuals to explore what we mean by harmony across a range of philosophical and practical issues. So lastly, further information for our MA in Harmony and Sustainability, information about the program, contact with the program director, Dr. Caroline Lohman Hancock, and the URL for the Harmony Institute. So thank you very much for your time and patience. If you wish to get in contact with us, then please do.